We are today talking about crime and it's being victims of crime or crime and poverty. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Rhythm and Rome. My name is Benef and I'm here with my co-hosts Paul and Trecia. How are you?
Bonjour, ça va?
Bonjour, ça va bien, merci.
Ça va bien.
Podcast where we talk about our travel adventures and those cultural encounters where we notice the similarities, the differences, our ignorance, misconceptions, and so on. And so we are today talking about crime and it's being victims of crime or crime and poverty, the stuff that we see while traveling, because it's everywhere, unfortunately. And some places worse than others. So that's
this is kind of an interesting topic,
issue.
I can tell you, because I'm just like, obviously it's one of those ones where obviously it doesn't affect everyone that travel. So let's, obviously make
well, and we'd
sense.
hope that it
We
would
will
not
hope
affect
that
everyone that
it
travels.
doesn't. But
Yeah.
But it's bound to hit you
Yeah.
at some point.
But
At some point, yeah.
Can I ask, like, what's the parameter or the divide of crime while traveling? Meaning, are we talking about have anybody gotten arrested or all of the above, all the scandals?
Anything. I mean,
like
crime, like from
Okay.
misdemeanors to felonies. I don't know. Like, shoot. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like,
Okay.
let's hope we haven't experienced felonies while traveling. I mean, and
Right.
crime is.
I don't think so.
It's different.
It's a whole nother show
obviously,
if that's the case.
Well, but like other countries, categorize things differently, right? I mean,
I'm just
so,
trying to protect you from FBI. That's all.
Well, that's just the whole thing. I was just going to say that. Okay, first of all, if you're traveling, I mean, domestically in the United States, there's certain laws apply, right? But if you're traveling, those laws no longer apply. So, there are stiffer penalties. First of all, from death to cutting off of hands
oh,
to
God.
beheading to
Yeah.
all stoning, all kinds of things, and where they bury you under the jail or
Well,
your ass just
Yeah.
so
no, I mean, because we've heard, I mean, the woman that was stoned to death for not having her fail
Burqa.
on correctly. Now, we can't go to Iran, so that's probably not going to be an issue for us, since we're not allowed
Yeah.
to go there.
Yes.
But I mean, yeah, it could be something as simple as that. I mean, that's a simple thing that we would think, oh, my hair is showing. And I mean, I don't know what the actual penalty is, but they don't have gum in Singapore. So like if you're chewing gum and you like just throw it on the street, I think that's a crime in Singapore.
Yeah. Read
US
your
law does not apply.
embassy. Yeah, wherever you're traveling, I would have
real.
to say you must at least be knowledgeable on if there's anything happening before going there. There's my thumbs up. Or B, making sure that or be well-rounded in where is safe and where is not safe, or something to that effect.
Well, I mean, we say that, but do we actually do that? Like that's
hell
the question.
No.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I'm just trying to be politically correct here. I don't.
You're like, holy shit.
I'm trying to be politically correct, but
Oh my God.
I'm going to say that I do, and that's only because I'm a rule follower. I mean, I'm that kind of person, and I also want to be respectful. So I will do some research to some degree, and I'll go to my .gov or my travel.
I do go there.
Go to at least kind of orient myself with what the laws are. Like, do they follow British law? Do they follow, depending on the country that I'm going to, right?
I mean, it depends on the country, right? Because if I was going to Italy or France, I'm not looking at my the State Department.
Do you know how much shit I gotta look at if I'm hell no, I don't. And I think the reason why I'm like this is maybe because I'm rebelling. Because you and I know, Benef, just from working in the government,
I have trouble with
that shit is given to us.
Oh,
like it's
the amount of like documentation that needs to be done before traveling. In fact,
and we already know.
Yeah, well, we were living in Korea and we were wanting to go to UAE, Dubai, and
Oh, it's
like
just
Thomas and I had just forgotten all the stuff that we had do the last time we were stationed in Korea. So
you
he
probably
didn't
had to
do
go to a
anything. He
briefing and all
wasn't
this other
able
stuff.
to go because if you have a top secret security clearance, you've got to check all the things, do all
Yes.
the, and he
Yes.
didn't do any of that. And it was going to take like a full month to go
Yeah.
through all the gates.
Mhm.
And so he ended up not being able to go.
Yeah. And that's
But
that's
Wow.
I
what
went.
I don't I don't want to have to deal with. Yeah, I'm rebelling. So you're right. I should be doing it more often, but I don't. And I kind of I
Are you
guess
traveling to like considered dangerous countries though?
well, see, that's a misleading question
Okay.
because
Mhm.
everywhere is potentially a dangerous
Well, it could
something.
be, yes. Yeah,
Because
yeah.
because
Mhm, mhm.
I've been in for example when I was living in Germany, and hell, I mean here in Paris last year. I wasn't traveling in Paris, I lived here, and it was the big old, you remember all the protests
All
that
the
Yeah.
was going
protest.
on
Yeah, but they
last year.
protest all the time in Paris, all the time.
But I
I
mean, like
just
So pissed
this,
off about
but this
something.
was serious because I was coming home from the office and I got gas in my face in the subway or in the
tear
metro. So
gassed.
yeah, tear
Well,
gas.
but I mean, so it's probably gonna sound terrible, but like if I was traveling to Norway versus a country in Africa, I
Mhm.
mean, do, I the State Department, like Norway versus Africa, like I'm gonna do more research to go to Africa.
But why? And the
Correct.
only reason why you're doing that is because of what we have been trained in our brains to say Africa is bad, Norway is good.
I probably would still look at myself. I probably would still look
But there
at
are countries
Norway.
like in conflict in Africa, and Norway and Sweden are
Yes.
not in conflict with
Tip,
each other.
they typically are
No, but
not, but I still
there
look at
is
that.
yeah, but there is Russia that's still sweeping over on the other side. So it's
Yeah,
not like
that's
they're
true.
right out of the you know what
I
I
watch
mean?
too
It's just that
I watch
it's
too much sci-fi, so I probably still
no,
watch. I don't give a shit. I still
but don't
look.
get me
I
wrong. Yeah, but I'm the same way. I mean, I would you're right in a sense, Benef, but that's the psychological bullshit
Or South
that
America, like the
that's the
narco stuff.
psychological bullshit
Yeah.
that because my friend
brown
just
people
came back.
bad,
Yeah.
light-skinned white people not so
Oh.
much.
Well,
I mean, so is some of it psychological, but some of it is based in reality. No, I mean, there is a lot of drug trafficking happening
I
in South
say
America.
70% of it is
um,
psychological and 30% of it is because I give an example of a friend of mine that I went to college with. He traveled to Colombia recently. And right off the top of my head, I was like, what the hell are you
Yeah.
doing traveling to Colombia? Why would you
Yeah.
want to do that? And he
You're
said,
right. I'm like, ooh,
yeah,
danger, danger. I'm gonna get
exactly.
kidnapped.
He went with
Yeah.
his
but I
three
have,
kids. He went with his three young
yeah,
kids.
yeah, but I have friends that travel. I have friends right now that travel to Colombia. I had one that just
Mhm.
traveled, and she actually just came back from Cartagena and had a wonderful time.
Love. Yeah. He said he loved it. He said he was,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I said I feel like
Mm.
sometimes we get, I don't want to say brainwashed because these are important information, but
No, we
sometimes I just
do,
hate.
because you hear brown is bad and white is good.
Yeah.
That is
But I
the
mean,
problem.
I didn't want to go to that extent, but you're
I
right
went
in
to
a
that
sense.
extent. I went there. I went there. So
But
that's why I'm
yes.
going to the
Mm.
State Department and I'm looking in everywhere before I travel. I'm just going to do a little look see and see if
Yeah.
there's anything going on.
Yeah, but the
That's
State
all I'm going to
Department
do.
is no better either, Tricia, because I give you an example, another example. My family home, Jamaica, is on the do not fly list right now.
Jamaica
Of
is on
course,
the do not fly list.
Yes, it
of
was
course
Why?
it
3 months
is.
ago. It was 3 months ago because
It
they said
always is.
it was whatever. It was them, and I think Bahamas was on there for a little bit too as well. But I'm just like, you're insane. Like
It
you're
always
in
is.
but
So
it's
is
because
Belize.
of some type of uh infighting. Just it's no worse than and then the big joke is there's been a lot of social media TikTok of Jamaicans are like, ooh, it's so bad here. Yes, America, don't come because it's so bad
Just
compared to like what just happened in Nevada with shooting or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, if there's anywhere that needs to be on the do not fly list is America right now.
Now.
Yeah.
Or
I'm sorry. That's the wine speaking. I'm sorry. I go back again to the point of everywhere there is a conflict. So America's not in a civil war, but we sure the hell act like it in
Yes, I
certain
mean,
states.
yeah, I see what you mean by the
But
word
again, it
conflict.
doesn't stop us. It's not, and we just said that, Paul, that it's not stopping people from going to these places and some of these places that,
And I
that are
hope
like
it
that.
doesn't. I hope it doesn't. But we do
But
put
then
fear
again,
in our heads because I didn't even go to Colombia because of what
Yeah,
I
I
heard about
know.
Colombia.
Well,
So
and when I told people, I think you might have been one of them, Paul, when I said I was going to Mexico, and you were like,
oh yes,
"Oh, what
yes.
you
I
doing
was the one who's like,
now?"
why you keep going to
Like,
Mexico?
no, I'm
Like,
not going to just get kidnapped. Like,
yeah, this is
but
what I
yeah,
mean.
people literally think that.
And I said the same thing when you were going to, I think you were going to Costa Rica. And I was like, they just
Yeah,
kidnapped somebody for ransom in Costa Rica. Are you sure you want to go there? But that's what I heard on the TV.
they're not going for her. They're not going for her.
But you get where I'm coming
yeah,
from, though.
but I
It's
do.
just
But I mean,
weird.
and so it's
Yeah,
the same thing. Well, they just shot, a bunch of people on the street. Why are people going to the United States when we have like the worst,
exactly.
gun
Exactly.
So
laws?
those are the extreme cases, I
Yes,
think,
yes, 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 yes.
of that we're speaking on as far as crime, right? So and I mean the same thing with poverty. I mean, if we want to talk about poverty and and homelessness, there are several countries within the United States and growing where we're seeing lots and lots of more, or
Mm.
lots and lots
You
more
mean states?
states, excuse me, we're
Yeah,
seeing lots and lots more of states that have,
yeah,
you're starting to see a lot more people on the streets. And of course, my statement that I say all the time is that until, and I think I've even said it on previous shows, that until the United States starts taking mental health and wellness in general seriously, we're going to see more and more people on the streets. Because
No,
life is hard.
yeah. Look, I mean,
So
I think we went. I think you're right. Like both of you guys are right in everything you're saying, and one thing is to the extreme, like you said, Trisha. But I think the big question you may have already asked it, but I'll say it again is, is there crime everywhere? Yes, there is crime everywhere, but unfortunately, some places in Benef, you did a good job in indicating what are good crimes and bad crime areas. So, for example, when you gave the example of I'm going to do more of a definitional research on Africa than I am in Norway, and that
yeah,
is how everyone, I wouldn't say everyone, but majority of people talk when they go to visit, wherever they're traveling to, because I'm the same way too as well. And I did the same thing with a friend of mine, and I'm going to try and get her on camera too as well. She loved going to Africa. And she always tell me, she's like, oh, I'm going to Rwanda. You want to, you should come. I was like, isn't that where
and we're
Hotel
like,
Rwanda was?
yes,
Yeah, I was
I
like, isn't that where
know.
Hotel Rwanda was?
And
And
so
she's
where
like,
are we?
no.
Are we all just totally influenced by the news that we
Yes,
see?
yes. Because here's
Um,
the thing. Rwanda is like the leading country right now for um environmental something. And it's so clean. Like she sent
mm,
me a video of this just the other day. And maybe we can put it on link it to our this podcast. But this is my point, is that we're listening too much of what social media or the
yeah.
media or who we know in contact tell us about the place, and movies, because that's the reason why I said, what the hell are you going to Rwanda for?
Yeah.
And she's this lily white girl, and but that
I mean, I
video,
guess it would be like finding that balance because, yeah, how do we balance what we see on the news versus our own experience?
yeah.
Um,
And
because if we
that's
never go there because we're too
yep,
afraid,
yep. I think the
exactly. And
balance,
that's just my point. I mean, that's the point that I was making, do your research and look up the information, and fine, if your first influence or your first knee-jerk reaction is, that's crazy, I would never think about going there. Well, for the mere fact that someone that, a friend of yours or whatever is saying that they're going, obviously, are they crazy? I mean, are they known as a friend that, that goes off the deep end and does things like this, whatever the circumstances are. But I think it deserves some look-see, to see what the country is about, and then make up your own mind and decide if that's something, that's something that you want to do. But don't let anyone deter you because of what they say. I mean, I say this
I
to
would
my
say
mother
don't
all the
let
time.
.gov deter you either, because .gov could sound like
Exactly,
it's a
because
fucking World War III.
it's
So
propaganda. I mean, everything.
government site, that is.
I try to look at everything like it's propaganda, honestly, because people are going to do, want you to look at things and read things because they want you to be persuaded, right? Honestly.
I would, but, and like I said, both of you guys bring up great points, and I don't want to sound like, I'm all angry about it or something, because I'm not, because I felt even the same way when I was living in Germany and I was traveling with friends out east to places that I, before living in Germany, I didn't even, I mean, I heard of it, but I was like, on a map in high school. But when I went as far as Estonia and Lithuania, those countries, that's literally, Russia is not far away kind of thing. But I was looking at it as in like, I didn't want to go because I am this color and you're not, kind of thing. And if I continued on that spectrum of things, and obviously I wanted to not be in a violent situation, which is why I think of things that way. And we do have to think about that.
Well, I don't think of those countries. I don't think of as being violent, and that could just be my naivete because they're white. Yes,
Bingo.
That's 100% accurate.
People think that white people don't do this stuff, and
I know. And where did that mentality come from? No, but
it's true. I mean, and again, I understand that, and we get that, and I think, and again, I think what we're talking about is the extreme. What about those things where you're in a country and what about theft? What about petty crimes?
If you watch my
that's
origin
anywhere
story,
though.
That I did. We have stuff stolen in Italy and Rome, and that youth hostel nightmare. So we drop our stuff and we're like, we just feel nasty. We're going to go shower. And so like everything was co-ed, but thankfully the showers at least had some privacy. So we feeling better. We come back, and then I was going to like put on a tank top, and then I can't find it. Like I'm searching my backpack. I mean, I had literally had been there that morning. It wasn't there. Well, it turns out, we found out later that those assholes had already rifled through our bags because being the naive cadets, graduates, we had left our shit unsecured and just went to the bathroom. We're like, nobody a cadet will not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do. And so we just assumed like the rest of the world operated with this honor code. And they don't. So that shit was gone. They had taken 2 of my tank tops, 2 of my friend's shirts, and a credit card from each. So of course I didn't find out about the credit card until I called home, and my parents were like, yeah, they called, and because it's like the 90s. There, there's no instant notification of anything. So I mean, we didn't know any of that until after we had left.
And that happened. Thank God, knock on wood, I have never, or I hate saying the word never in cases like this, but I have not.
You have not experienced.
Me personally experienced. But I mean, I've had people who traveled to visit me here in Paris where they almost got pickpocketed by the same people that I saw walk past me. They went to them, kind of thing. So
they looked like a target, right? Touristy, or not aware of what was happening, or just like, ooh,
she was wearing the typical baseball cap. He was wearing the typical cargo shorts. As if you're not going to look like an American. So, and I warned them to not do that.
Well, it's just not looking like a target. Like, I mean, you don't engage. I mean, eye contact in big cities is not,
it's
not agreeable.
They should have known better because they're also from New York. They're from New York. It's not like they don't know any better. I would look at social media to just see what the temperature is.
People's opinions.
Because I do that. I do that. That's what I do.
But are they being paid? Because some of these people are being they're influencing for money.
And this is why you have to obviously use your other common sense and just be like, okay, this doesn't make sense. But I use it for like, things to do. When you wanted to say, or is there crime? You go to Google. I type in stupid words like that too as well. And you'd be surprised of all the comments that come up. I mean, we do it when we buy products on Amazon and we look at how many people are buying the product and stuff like this, reviews.
Yeah.
So the point I'm making is even look at the media and see what the media is saying. And then you make an assessment on your own to see if it's worth you going.
I've only had one thing happen to me. I've only actually personally had something that personally happened to me. But was in a group or was near something that happened. That's what I'm trying to say. When we were in the group, my very first trip actually abroad, when I had gone to, I should say to Europe, when I'd gone to Paris, in England. Well, first we went to England and then we took the bullet train over to Paris. And it was a lady in our group. And, they specifically tell you, if you're going to carry a purse, don't carry one. But if you're going to carry one, you need to make sure you hold on to it, keep it in front of you. If you're going to do that, whatever, like that's going to help. But still, if you're going to have it and, they tell you specifically what to look for, what to feel for, they just the whole rundown. Well, of course, the lady didn't do it. And it was an older lady on the trip, and of course she got robbed. We were in Vermont, and she got everything stolen. She got her wallet stolen.
It's embedded in us now. When you travel somewhere, why are you putting your wallet in your back pocket? For what? Why are you putting your cell phone in your back pocket? I see people do this all the time, and I laugh. And if I see somebody get their shit taken away from them, I'm just gonna laugh in their face. I'm not going to help them.
Okay, that's really bad.
I'm sorry.
You're going to be like,
but you know what, too? I mean,
I'm dead serious.
I'm put it out
Cheers.
there. No, listen,
I'm laughing at them.
So bad. I'm going to put it out there because, sometimes people forget. And I will say that they forget and, in the moment they stick it in their back pocket, whatever the circumstances are. I'm going to say that they have a momentary lapse, but vacation is not one of those times for you to have a momentary lapse.
The point is,
I'm just encouraging you not to have those momentary lapses.
No, I know.
There's really no reason. No, listen, and there's no reason to take your phone out, during a purchase or during those things, unless you're using it to tap pay, stick it back in your pouch, in front of you, underneath your shirt, or, in your fanny pack,
that's
underneath your shirt. That's it.
You don't need to put your shit in your back pocket. I don't get that. I know people are used to that, and I'm just like, you're stupid. But whatever.
And my thing is that I know this sounds really stupid, but because I didn't want to look stupid doing it, I actually practiced like a week or two before I went, so that I would be comfortable with my.
Oh my God!
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You're freaking doing rehearsals, and
I do rehearsals because I don't want anybody stealing my shit. I'm sorry.
That's a little bit over the top, but hey, whatever works for her.
I mean, proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance.
Oh,
thank you. So
this is bad to say. I really don't plan.
I know you
I guess
don't.
that's probably because I'm a little bit spontaneous, but I think, to sum up all of this, the biggest thing that comes to my mind that is important, and the number one and number two thing to have, is common sense and street smart. And believe it or not, those are two important things, and people don't have them.
The
Some
other
people
thing,
don't have them.
Though, Paul, is that you say you don't plan, but you're going to countries that don't really require a whole lot of
for the most part in Europe.
You're not going to Africa. You're not going to South America.
But even when because I am going to go there sometime, but even when I go to Africa, the most planning I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, what do I need? Do I need this? Do I need that? And then, where I want to go. That's the most planning I probably do.
Oh, you're going to have to take some shots. You're going to have to.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those planning. That's a no brainer. But I'm talking about everything else we're talking about here is when I get on ground, am I going to plan to make sure that my wallet is wherever it is? No, because I do it anyway. I hold my phone every time I go somewhere, which is probably not the best thing to do, but I hold it tight. I hold it tight.
Somebody be chopping off your hand for that phone.
That's right.
In the UK, yes, that's the thing.
So just
Or
having
even-
awareness is one way to mitigate risk, like being
exactly,
fully aware of what's happening around you. And I think if you're in the phone, you're not fully aware. I think it's just too hard
exactly,
to do both.
exactly, and that's why I
Yeah.
say common sense and street smarts are two most important things. I feel like get me by a lot of times. If I see a dark ass alley and my friends wanting to go in there, which has happened to me, I'm like, I'm not going there. They're like, dude, it's Prague. Ain't nothing gonna happen. I'm like, okay, I'll tell you what. I go around where there's people, and you guys can go through the alley.
I'll meet you.
Yeah, I'll meet you around the other side. Because why would we go around? Why?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a
Well,
shortcut.
putting yourself in a potentially
At
like
risk. Yeah.
yeah, this just
And we
doesn't make
do
sense.
that when we're drinking. We do that, unfortunately. A
Well,
lot of
yeah, because you
stupidity happens.
lose, you absolutely lose inhibitions and
Exactly.
you lose like the
And
ability to
that,
think. Yeah.
thank you for another reminder. And I
Yeah.
believe something like this, a situation like this has happened to your French teacher, Guillaume, as well.
I have one pretty bad story that you have to know that yes, Argentina can be pretty dangerous, and there are parts in Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires depends a lot of the part of the city. There are really safe parts.
Yeah.
But dangerous can be everywhere actually. Once I was with food in my hands, I was coming back to my house with food, and I met a guy in the street, and he wanted to have my food. So I stopped and I gave him a few French fries because I wanted to be nice with him. Yeah. And then he was like, "No, I don't want only these French fries. I want way more. I want all of it. I want more food." So I was like, "No, I give you all. I was already nice to give you. French fries. So I'm not going to give you more. So I say, well, let me go. So I'm going. And then he was starting following me. And he became more and more aggressive. He was telling me, "Give me more, give me more." And then he punched me in the jaw. Here,
are you kidding me?
Yeah, he punched me in the jaw.
I'm so sorry to hear that. That's crazy.
I pushed him, and I didn't want to fight with him because he was a guy from the street. He looked dangerous. He had like a lot of scars not the kind of guy you want to have trouble with. So I just pushed him, and I luckily I'm running pretty fast.
Yeah.
But he had something in his I don't know what you call it, but
his trolley or something like this.
Because people from the street in Argentina, they recuperate all the garbages in the streets and they put it in a cart to recycle it, or I don't know why. So he took that and he throw it to me when I was running. So I received it in the legs. But I managed to run faster than him, and I escaped.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
This was a bad experience, but I didn't have any trouble.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, at least this is something. I mean, I never knew Argentina was considered bad. I've never been. That's on my list of places to go. But I didn't realize it could be
you need
dangerous.
To be careful, and the only advice I would have is to never stop when a foreigner is speaking to you in the streets. You don't stop. You keep on walking. You ignore him because if you stop, they can take it as a weakness sign, so they can improve.
But that's interesting you said that, Guillaume, because that's exactly what you guys do here in France. If a homeless person or someone that's bothering you, asking you for money, I know, like French people that I know, they tell me all the time, don't stop.
Don't stop, yeah.
Just or even if you're standing there, you just act like you don't see them or hear them, kind of thing. So I'm sorry to hear about your story, but that's
but I think it's the case in every country.
Yeah, of course.
Well, it depends. It depends as well who's the person. If you see it's an old lady, for example, you can help her, of course. But in Argentina,
it's interesting, and I'm glad you were able to share that.
One of the other things too that I think we should mention, also when you're talking about crime, or you're talking about, or you don't think potentially about crime in another, or is when you're making your reservations and making your accommodations in a foreign country. What's advertised on the internet is not necessarily what you get when you get there. I have a friend
to be good. Ain't that good.
Yeah, exactly. And my friend, I have a friend that actually had that happen to. She went to Rome and made a reservation. It was her and her daughter, so it was, there were no males on the trip with them. And they actually went to Rome, and their booking was, when they got there, it was, past, all the touristy thing, past all, which is fine. I mean, because they had done B&Bs in the past, but it just seemed further away than, than where they typically would go. And, she thought she had mapped it out a bit, and it was, I mean, it was further away, and it was still on the it was still kind of in the area, but it was on the outskirts, and turned out to be, when they checked into the hotel, it was not quite, what they expected. And, it was late at night when their flight arrived, got in. So, they didn't think that there was anything to do. When they got checked into the room, oh my God, it was even better. The room door didn't even lock properly. It was dingy, it was nasty, the carpet,
that's why I say don't look at pictures. Pictures are lies.
And it turned out to be a crack hotel.
Oh my God.
So
people would go there to do drugs.
Wow. They were to go shoot up. That's what it was.
God. I mean, and that's where I would be like, let me find a known chain, like a
bingo.
known.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially if you've never been to a place before.
Right.
And I will tell you, Earl and I were just a victim of this just recently, because
was this London when you were in London?
It wasn't when we were in London, but this was not a situation where it was a drug hotel, but it was certainly one of those places where where it used to be a nice place, like an older place. So what happens is they were still using photos of when the place used to be in its heyday, if you will.
That's annoying.
And so it's one of those places, where it gets taken over, and the lobby looks okay, but then you start to question it when you walk in, and it is in a nice neighborhood. It's in Kensington. It's a great place, great neighborhood. But then when you walk into the place, then you notice, certain things. You start to see things out of place, and you get up to the room, and it was disgusting, absolutely disgusting.
But my pet peeve if I go to like especially a country or a city that's an older city like Rome, I will chance myself, because it's just me, on a hotel chain that I'm familiar with, in a Continental, Marriott, or whatever like that. And I would say to people, because right now the most popular thing, especially here in Europe, is Airbnb. And Airbnb, people look at it because of the price. A lot of times, like I had a family member who was traveling here, and they forgot to contact me. Well, they got their Airbnb in Saint-Denis. There's nothing wrong with Saint-Denis, but Saint-Denis is technically like one of probably the worst areas in Paris. And I'm sure all my French people will agree with me on that one. It's just that, it's not the best of place, but it's one of those things, because that's why you say, don't, just because the price is right doesn't mean that the place is right, kind of thing. So always do those, looking at the research, and they were like, well, the pictures look good and the area look good. I was like, well, duh, who's going to show you a picture of like poverty or something like that? So.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for watching and listening. I hope you enjoyed our show. And if you have any crazy stories, please share them with us.
Which I'm sure there are some
about crime, traveling, any kind of crazy story. It doesn't have to be about crime, but we love to hear your stories, because we want to share those interactions, and quite frankly, talk about them. Yes, so please like, subscribe, share with your friends, and give us feedback. And we will see you next time.